The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello, and welcome to the Hoop Ball DFS Today podcast. I am your host, Mike Apatra, joined by none other than my good buddy, Brenton Eckersley. We're here to help you guys break down this Friday, August 14th podcast, or slate. 4 games. There are a few showdowns, but all these games are available on the main slate. So things are starting to wind down. We're kind of starting to see the meaningful games slip away with playoffs right around the corner. But Bren, how are you doing, my good friend?
I'm good, man. Good here across the ocean. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm a little tired on tonight. Just been up early, been up all day. A lot of work done for the day job, and a lot of time spent just kind of breaking down slates over this. So I'm starting to feel the grind. We got playoffs right around the corner. I'm about due for a rest day myself at this point, but feeling good, man. Feeling good.
Yeah, man. You've been doing a lot of pods lately too, so I feel you.
You know what? It's doing a lot of podcasts is something if that's what makes me tired, I'm okay with that. I love doing these shows, and I love doing some stuff over here at Hoop Ball, but we only got 4 games, man, so we're going to be ripping and roaring. We're probably going to get through this one pretty quickly, especially with a lot of the up and down news that we're going to have, not really knowing exactly what to expect until maybe 10, 20 minutes before when we start to see some starting lineups get released. But before we jump into anything, guys, just a quick shout out to our presenting sponsors over there at Manscaped. We've told you 100 times, guys, go check them out. Use the promo code HoopBall, and you yourself could have a nice lawnmower 3.0. Promo code is HoopBall20, and you will receive 20% off with free shipping from over there of our good buddies at Manscaped. So check them out, guys. Tons of good stuff, tons of goodies. I'm a fan, and I am an exclusive member over there as well at this point. But check them out, and we will get into this, man, right away. We have the Toronto Raptors going against the Denver Nuggets. As far as the Nuggets are concerned, Will Barton, Gary Harris, both ruled out. Neither one of them have really played too much in this bubble. And then over there in Toronto, we have OG Anunoby, questionable. Right knee soreness. Serge Ibaka, questionable. Right knee contusion. So a few things that we have to keep an eye on. We saw a couple guys sit for Toronto, and we kind of seen Denver resting a lot of their starters over the past 2 games, giving them limited minutes. But we'll start with this Denver Nuggets team. What stands out for you?
Yeah, man, it's so tricky this time of year. We're basically on the last slate before playoffs, I think. And, it's really hard to tell what these guys are going to do when they run out on the floor. Are they going to start? Are they going to start and play a quarter? Are they going to start and play a half? It's pretty tough to get involved with some of the high-priced guys. So I've spent most of my time digging in the bins and looking at the value on the Nuggets. Really, I'm scared to go too close to any of the starters or the regular starters, Mike. I don't know about you, but the prices are up there. And if these guys only play a half of basketball, then it's pretty hard to burn that much salary. I mean, you're going to have plenty of salary to burn, don't get me wrong, because there's so much value on the board. But just paying $8,200 for Michael Porter Jr. and he plays 12 minutes, that's not value at all. So I'm just struggling to find these guys in most of these lineups from the starting guys. The only guy I'm really honing in on here at a higher price salary for the Nuggets is probably Jeremy Grant. He's the only guy I'll probably tick off here. I just can't see why the rest of them will play at all or play significant minutes. And he's just been balling out. So, his last few DK points were 38, 33. He had a 26 and a 30, and he's been playing decent minutes the whole way through. So I'm going to look at Jeremy Grant here. What about you?
I don't mind him. I don't know if I'm going to go chasing that big game hunting again. I know he came out and he dropped a ton of actual real life points in that last one. Really held his own, shot 9 of 14. Playing well. I don't dislike the call, but he's also a key part of the rotation. So if you're worried about any of their starters being limited, I would kind of view him in that same sort of light where maybe he doesn't start. He's still probably one of the first guys that come off the bench, knowing that he can play multiple positions. So I'm not playing the guy. I'm not playing Paul Millsap. But I probably won't go near Jokic. If I'm touching any starter, probably going to be what I said last time. It's going to be like Jamal Murray, a guy that arrived at the bubble a little bit later, wants to get a few extra shot attempts in before playoffs start. Really work on that, and outside of that, I'd be looking at a guy like PJ Dozier. He's been playing good minutes. Yeah, I know he was everyone's little darling value play in that last one, and he kind of let us down. Only put up 16 DK points, but still took 10 shot attempts. He's a guy that's not shy to shoot. And he'd probably be one of the biggest beneficiaries if any of these starters are limited. We already know Monte Morris's role is locked in there. Dozier's is going to be able to get free run off the bench.
Yeah, that's it. And Dozier's, 4K versus 5,200 for Morris. It's a good value play, and he's been pretty good in his points per minute. So yeah, I'm right with you there on Dozier. Absolutely.
All right, brother. Well, and again, it's if we get any news that kind of clarifies some of these Denver starters, whether it's we know these guys are going to play a half or three quarters, or maybe they're not limited at all. That changes things. But right now, we can only go off of what we have in front of us, and it's really hard to kind of determine what sort of minutes to rotation these guys are going to have without any coach speak involved. So, Toronto Raptors. Anybody out over there standing out to you? I know we kind of saw a couple of these guys get a little bit of rest in that last one, but back at it against the Nuggets. Who you like?
Yeah, it's the same kind of situation, and it's going to be the same for all 8 teams tonight. Can you trust the starters at those salaries to play decent minutes? Probably not. Look, I did have a sneaky look at Norm Powell. I think if anyone's going to stay around that 20 to 23 minutes kind of night, it may be him, but 6,600, he can exceed that value pretty quickly if he gets his shots up in bursts. But really, I'm just going straight to Chris Boucher, 5,800. He's going to get a ton of minutes. He has been getting a ton of minutes. He's been getting it done from a fantasy perspective, and there's no reason to go away from him here.
Yeah, I'm with you, especially knowing that Serge Ibaka is questionable. He was questionable in that last one, and with him sitting out, and if OG sits out, well, both two prominent rotation players, that kind of unlocks Boucher, puts him into play. And, Gasol came out. He actually played really well to start the game, only played 19 minutes in that last one, and don't expect him to come out here and light the world on fire. I believe Nick Nurse kind of already said that he plans on playing these guys a little bit more once playoff starts, and does not plan on playing them a whole lot in this game. So it's just the bench options for me. If I had to pick somebody in that starting lineup that I had a little bit of interest in, it would be Norman Powell, and he'd be starting if OG's out. So just because we're talking 5,600 as opposed to Lowry at 87 or Siakam at 77. Really tough to pay for those guys' price tags. Matt Thomas off the bench, another guy with Boucher off the bench, I think I'd have a little interest in. 4,200, shooting guard eligible. But when he's hot, he's hot. He's just a pure stroke shooter. Guy can drill. 2 for 5 in the last game from deep, 4 for 8 before that, 2 for 3 and 2 for 4. So he's pretty much shooting or at least 50% from 3 over the past 4 games. So I don't mind taking a look at him. Or a guy like Terrence Davis. Those would be the 3 guys I think off the bench I'd have the most interest in if this game were to limit its starters.
Yeah, and you pretty much nailed the guys I'm looking at. The only other one I'll throw in the mix there is Hollis Jefferson at 3,800, I think he is. He's been playing good minutes into the 20s in the last couple. He played well last time out, and, 3,800, he should get value there, so he's worth a look.
I like it. Yeah. Hollis Jefferson, a guy that can play, pretty much 3 through 5. And it's like one of their utility guys when some of these bigs are out. So I don't mind taking a look at him. And, when you think about bigs coming off the bench and have a good game, I would expect that him or Boucher, one of those guys, to have a decent game. Maybe not both. You don't want to play those 2 guys together, but looking at one of those guys isn't a bad option. And you got to imagine most people are going to be gravitating towards Boucher. So maybe Hollis Jefferson comes in as a nice tournament pivot.
Yeah, for sure. And he's a decent chunk of salary cheaper. So he's definitely worth a look.
All right, brother. We'll keep it moving to this next game. We have the Miami Heat going against the Indiana Pacers. As we know, both these teams locked in with their seeding, as it is with everybody on the slate. It's not the night before. As I say that, Thursday night, we're recording this the night before, like tonight, just because we saw about 4 games that actually had meaning. And we even saw once the Suns won, the Grizzlies won, the Spurs kind of switched up what their starting lineup probably would have been. Had one of those teams lost and the Spurs still had a slim chance to get in, they probably would have played DeRozan. They probably would have played Derek White. Instead, we got to see the young guys play. So a little bit different on this one. It's all figured out. But Miami going against the Pacers. As far as injuries are concerned in this one, for the Pacers, we know Miles Turner has already been ruled out. TJ Warren has already been ruled out. Sabonis still dealing with his plantar fasciitis. Victor Oladipo being ruled out. Jeremy Lamb, we already know, tore his ACL earlier in the season. And we have Goga Bitadze. He is questionable with left knee soreness. And Malcolm Brogdon is no longer being listed on the injury report. And then for Miami, Jay Crowder is questionable. Derek Jones Jr. is questionable. So that's it. A lot of news to talk about over here on the Pacers. Pretty much everybody in that starting lineup outside of Malcolm Brogdon, now he's returning, has been ruled out. So why don't we start up with that Pacers team? That's where I think a lot of people are going to look for their value. Who are you looking at with all these guys in the starting lineup, sitting out?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Brogdon's still listed as playing, but I don't expect that to be the case once tip-off comes around. And even if he is, Mike, 8,200, nope, not going near that, with limited minutes probably in front of him. I'm looking straight at the Holiday guys here. I think for the salaries that they're listed at, they have a chance, and I think Aaron hasn't been playing that well lately. He's one of these guys that has been starting for the Pacers, but with all these other guys listed as already out, he's probably still going to play some minutes. 5,800 is not too bad. He's going to get his shots, especially if he's leading the offense on a pretty much a bench lineup for the team. That's not too bad a play, but I probably prefer Justin at 5,200. Last time out, he played 28 minutes with the other guys' minutes reduced, and he had 35 DK points. So I'll have a look at Justin here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the guys so I don't mind Justin. I think a lot of people are going to look at him, especially after that last game. But he is getting a price boost. Think of that last game where we were able to take advantage of the value. He was about 3,700, played 29 minutes. It was also an up-paced matchup against Houston, where he was able to kind of get a couple steals, get a block, get some of those defensive stats. A little bit different now going against Miami, and he is a valuable part of that rotation as well. So yeah. I don't mind him, but I think I would take it down even one notch lower. The next guys in the rotation. So like your Edmund Sumners, I don't mind taking a look at him. Doug McDermott, TJ McConnell. Those would probably be my 3 primary options of guys I would expect to get good minutes. I'd expect the Holiday brothers to probably draw the start, play a good chunk of minutes. But I think in the fourth, maybe like the third and the fourth quarter is when we start to see that next unit. So. Those 3 guys, if we hear that Goga's playing, I don't mind taking a look at him, especially with Miles Turner out. He's a great point per minute type of guy. He can get it done in multiple different ways. But outside of that, like I said, I think I like some Edmund Sumner, some Doug McDermott, and some TJ McConnell in this one. Yeah,
for sure. And you can probably throw Elise Johnson in there as well. So it's $3,000 for him. And last time out, 17 minutes on court and 20 DK points. So if the minutes go up to, anywhere near 25 or more, which may happen, may not happen, then that's smash territory. And as you said, Edmund Sumner, yep. Doug McDermott, yep. TJ McConnell, absolutely. All of these guys are on track for big minutes, and they do put up decent points per minute. So let's go.
Yeah, Elise Johnson kind of, if you look at his DK profile picture, he kind of looks like a combination of, Jimmy Butler with like Mo Bamba. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from him right now.
Does that make you want to play him?
A little. I'm a big Jimmy Butler guy, so yeah, I'm interested. And knowing that they're not going to have any real bigs available. With Turner out, Goga questionable, maybe they take it light on him regardless. That pretty much just leaves Jakar Sampson. And, I don't think that they really have any interest in playing TJ Leaf that much more. I think he has a total of about 11 minutes played in this bubble. So, yeah, they could play him, but looks like Elijah Johnson kind of, jumped him in that pecking order. So, yeah, I do like that. He's probably my favorite big if Goga does not play. What about on this Miami team, brother? I mean, we have some decent options, I think. We don't really know what to expect. It looks like Jimmy Butler is actually he's not being listed on the injury report right now, but the other reports are popping up that he's being considered, doubtful or out for Friday's matchup as well. And I think the same thing with Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic in that one. So we may be without pretty much everybody in this Heat starting lineup, including some of their prominent bench roles. Andre Iguodala is also now being listed as questionable. So all that the injury report showing is Jay Crowder and Derek Jones Jr. But Butler, Adebayo, Dragic, and I would assume Iguodala is probably going to be rolled out. So with knowing all of that, we're looking at some of their healthy bodies being, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Kelly Olynyk, Kendrick Nunn, and then a lot of their bench guys. But who do you have interest in on this Miami team?
Yeah, so straight to Tyler Hero here for me. Been shooting really well, been, playing really well for the Heat lately, and they're looking to him a lot more offensively as I guess as the bubble's gone on and things have changed up a little bit in priorities and things like that. But he's almost becoming my number one target in this slate. I love his salary at 6,800. He can go off any night, and I think the minutes will be there.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a huge Tyler Hero guy. I love that kid's game. I think he's going to be a future stud in this league. I have a lot of promise for Tyler Hero, but how about Myers Leonard, knowing that they're going to be down? Bam, obviously Olynyk is still there. He's going to get a little bit of run, but he's prominent in their rotation. If we can't expect a full allotment of him, and I think we just saw Myers Leonard get his first run in the bubble during the OKC game. He played about 18 minutes, so I would assume he's going to be probably their most prominent big in this game, most likely. You can't imagine that they're going out of their way to play Udonis Haslem. So, any interest in Myers Leonard?
Look, I'm probably looking at Chris Silver before I'm looking at Myers Leonard, just based on a bit of a points per minute thing. I think last time out, Chris had 13 minutes for 15 DK points. Myers Leonard, I'm a fan. I like the way he plays. He can shoot the three, and he's $600 cheaper here, but I'm actually just leaning towards Silver. And just a note that at these salaries, we actually I skipped a guy, on the Denver team, and that's Bol. I think he's priced at 3,200 as well, and I don't see why he doesn't get a swag of minutes back up on that Denver team. So, I'll probably pass on both of these guys in Miami and take that Bol dart instead.
Oh, I'm with you. If we hear Bol is going to get, even if it's 20 minutes, just his ability to put in some blocks. And we've seen his passing ability. And I think that I've said it before. I think that's the most impressive thing I've noticed about his play ever since this Bol hype train has started, is his ability to actually just pass as well. This guy's a real deal, kind of a complete package sort of thing. So I have some interest in him. So I'm glad you brought him back up. And I think, Myers Leonard, Silva, I'm fine with looking at either one of these guys if you're looking, but I wouldn't go out of my way to play either one of them either. I think they're both solid options. But you're probably right. Silva's definitely the better point per minute guy over Leonard. We know that Leonard likes to play away from the basket, and generally his rebounds aren't the highest or exactly where we would like to see them. But anything else from this game, or you want to keep it moving?
I just wanted to ask you what you thought of Kendrick Nunn in this one. Is he going to play? Is he going to start? I mean, do they want to get some run into him before the playoffs start, do you think?
Yeah, I think they're going to definitely want to get him at least a little bit of run. I mean, the last major game that he played more than 25 minutes was against Milwaukee back on August 6th. So it's been quite some time. It's been about a week or a little bit more since he's had any sort of action. So I imagine that they're going to want to get him anywhere between 22 to 24 minutes, possibly even more. But that's probably where I have him pegged, right around that 22 to 24. And in the land of mystery where you don't know where a lot of guys are going to play, and knowing that he's probably going to have a big fat old usage rate with all these other starters out, I think he's definitely in play if he's going to play even 24 minutes.
Yeah, $6K, that's not a bad price. Probably spend up. When you've got so much room to spend up, I'd probably spend up on Tyler here. But Kendrick's worth a shot as well.
Absolutely. I could see some people maybe even going with both those guys.
Yeah, but why not?
We'll keep it moving. Next game, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. Without Chris Paul, it's looking like going against this Clippers team. But before I get ahead of myself, let's just do it in order. Chris Paul has been ruled out. Dennis Schroeder still self-isolating right now. He's back in the bubble, but he's not going to be ready yet. And then we have Dort, bright knee sprain. That looked like it was actually a pretty significant injury, so we have to keep an eye on that. But all three of those guys have been ruled out. And for the Clippers, Patrick Beverley, Montrezl Harrell, and Landry Shamet have all also been ruled out of this game. Wouldn't be shocked if we see a couple other guys. With the Clippers, we always have to keep our eyes on them. But that's all we have for right now. So we'll start with this OKC team without all these guards. Shai Gilgeous is going to be the first name on a lot of people's minds. Do you have any interest in him?
Not really. 7,600 potential limited minutes. I mean, if he gets to 24 minutes, great. The way he's been playing, though, Mike, he's just not having those big games that we have seen from him in the past. And 7,600 salaries. I don't think he can get there. So I'm just looking down the board here. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to probably touch it. I mean, if they're resting Paul, without Schroeder, you got to imagine that Shea, the next guy up, a lot of these starters, I don't have a lot of confidence in it, especially knowing the front court's been hurt with Adams and Noel. They both played in that last one for the first time. I think it was 2 games prior. So I'm really going to ease back off. If I'm going to anybody in this, I think it's Darius Bazley. This kid's just been on fire in the bubble. Taking the advantage of the most of the minutes with the injuries in the front court. And it looks like over the past 4 games, the lowest he's played is about 26 minutes, and the lowest he's dropped is about 23 DK points with, 2 40-plus games over the past 2 games. I think he's going to be one of the chalk plays on this slate, but it's hard to argue it with the production he's done. And, like I said, the injury to Dort and the injury to the front court just opens up minutes, kind of solidifies him in this.
Sorry, Mike. Yeah, absolutely. He's the only guy I've got highlighted here. He's been playing really, really well. And we've seen the bubble, been a good podium for some of these fringe type bench players, or not fringe, but bench players who aren't starting. And Bazley's one of them. He's just wrecking shop at the moment. So 5,400, absolutely line him up, lock him load. And as you said, he's probably going to be one of the chalk plays on the slate.
Yeah, and I'm sure, you'll probably see guys like Terrence Ferguson and Hamidou Diallo get a couple extra minutes. But those guys, they're pretty lousy point per minute producers. I don't have a lot of interest in them, even if they play 30 minutes. I mean, regardless, I think Bazley is the best player on this team. Regardless of starting, coming off the bench, whatever it is, I almost prefer him just to come off the bench because it makes me have a little bit more confidence that he'll close out that fourth quarter. But that's it, man. I mean, it's tough with these guys locked in. They're all pretty much veterans outside of Shea, but Shea's the most important player on their team that's going to be playing in this game. So I just don't trust this OKC team. I think Bazley is it for me as well. But
yeah, look, I did have a pencil around Mike Muscala just because I don't think Steven Adams or Noah will play or will have extremely limited minutes if they do. So Muscala's an option at 4,600. What do you have any interest in him at all?
If those guys are out, I definitely think he pops in there just because we'd be looking at 20 to 25 minutes of guaranteed minutes at a spot where he'll probably be looking at, even if he plays about 25 minutes, at least 6 to 7 rebounds. Decent floor. If he gets a couple tip-ins, who knows? But not a bad guy to look at for some, guaranteed value if those guys are ruled out. But otherwise, if they're in there, I just can't trust any of them. Just basically a wash for me. I'd rather go with, Elise Johnson, like we just talked about in the game prior. Somebody who we know is some guaranteed value that will probably play 30-plus minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. Just throwing the name in there, making sure people know, with these guys potentially out, there are some other value options around.
Ooh.
But yeah.
Absolutely. Never hurts to talk about some more guys, more options. I mean, that's what we like to do. The day before, we're grinding through this. We're sorting names out, trying to bring them up. So that way, when you guys are going through, you can cross guys out of your player pool. You can maybe put little check marks next to some of their names as you start to construct and mix and match and try a couple different combinations. And, we're going to have to look at this Clippers team at least a little bit. There's only 4 games on the slate. So, I think last time Kawhi Leonard, Paul George both probably exceeded the minutes that we were expecting from those guys. They both played 30 plus, had good games. I would expect them to probably take a back seat in this game. I just don't see the point of playing them huge minutes. So, I mean, for me, the guys I'm looking at are the guys that are solid point per minute guys who we could probably know what to expect. And we were talking about Zubac in that last one. Played right around what he's used to, a little bit more than 20 minutes, no more than 25, and he just produces. He's been putting up lock-in 30 points, at least on DK, in those limited minutes. So he's a guy that even if the game's limited, we could probably expect limited minutes no matter what from him regardless. So we're getting what we're paying for, and I think the same thing could be said for, like, Lou Williams. Coming off the bench, a guy that was pretty much quarantined away from the team for quite some bit, but he's really starting to get his shot together over the past few games, taking at least 13 shot attempts in both those. So played 23 and 25 minutes respectively. So if we're looking at 23 to 25 minutes out of Lou Will again, I'd be perfectly okay with that at 5,800. But probably it for me for those. I'm just really looking at those 2 guys. But why don't you tell me do you have any interest in those 2 guys, and if anybody else on this team, who is it?
At the moment, Mike, I got interest in Zubac every single night. He's been really playing well. He's probably exceeding what we thought he may do in the bubble, but I'm just a big fan of him. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he's got a long way to go, and I think he's got a lot of upside. And I think he's one of the better young centers. Well, maybe not the better ones, but one to look out for out of the young centers in the league. He's just got a lot going for him. 6,000. That's starting to push the limits for a guy who may be on limited time here in this game. But, yeah, he's still the first guy I'm going to here. No one else, really. I mean, JaMychal Green's an option, but you probably don't want to play him and Zubac. So 4,700 is not too bad, but that's more of a flyer for me.
Yeah, I don't mind the Green call, especially if something is up with those centers over there and they decide to go a little bit smaller. If Noel and Steven Adams are both out, Zubac's limited, and they're not going to end up probably playing a guy like Joakim Noah. If the other team's going small, we'd end up seeing either JaMychal Green or Patrick Patterson or Marcus Morris or one of those guys playing center instead. So I could see Green coming into play in that kind of scenario. So I like that call, brother. Gonna keep maybe a little underline, a little star, a little check mark next to his name. It's always good to be reminded when I look back through my notes when I start constructing some of these lineups tomorrow. But anybody else on the Clippers? Or are you kind of ready to move on to this 4th and final game?
No, let's go to the last one.
All right. Well, just before we do, wouldn't be us if we didn't give a shout out to my bookie guys. Go check them out. Use the promo code HoopBall for that deposit match. And if you are listening to this at this moment, we have a contest created, Brenton. So I'd even mention this to you. We will be hosting a HoopBall contest. I myself will host it. It will be for this 4-game slate, and the winner of this will get a little goodie treat. It's going to be a little MyBookie membership. So it's worth playing, guys. These memberships are not free. They are fantastic, though. So jump in this, guys. It's going to be fun. We're going to have some of our experts, some of our pros in here. We're going to have listeners. It's not going to be a big contest because it is a short notice one, and it is our first one of the season. Once the playoffs start, we will have more, but we wanted to get something going before the playoffs, and then we're going to have a couple during them as well. So there will be a DFS contest, and it is presented by MyBookie. Check them out. Use that promo code HoopBall for all of your betting needs, whether it is baseball, basketball, with football right around the corner. Get some action, get some love, and get that deposit match with the promo code HoopBall. HOOPBALL. So, 4th and final game, Philadelphia 76ers going against the Houston Rockets. For the Rockets, only one being listed on the injury report at the moment is Russell Westbrook. And then for the Sixers, Joel Embiid is questionable, left ankle soreness. Glenn Robinson III is questionable, left hip soreness. And then Ben Simmons, as we know, had knee surgery and is ruled out for quite some time right now. So we'll start with the Sixers team. We saw Joel Embiid. He played. He was questionable last game. Looks like he kind of took a trip back to the locker room. Questionable in this one. I'd be more shocked if he plays. Just don't see the reason for it, especially after he kind of had to take a trip in that last one. But why don't you tell me what you're thinking, whether or not he plays, and the scenario and which guys you like.
Yeah, I don't think he plays, Mike. I think they'd be crazy to risk Embiid, coming off a little locker room trip and that kind of thing. Why would you risk him when everything's locked up, sewn up, ready to go into playoffs? I think he just sits. From the starters here, I'm not really looking at anybody. Maybe a sniff at Shake Milton, but even at 5,900, if he only plays 22 minutes, he's only a point per minute kind of guy, and I'm not really thinking he gets near value. I'm going straight to the bottom here, or near the bottom, and looking at Mike Scott, 4,200. I get the feeling that he'll probably play a swag of minutes here. I don't think Embiid gets up or would want to get up in this one, and Mike Scott's got value and smash play written all over him. What do you think?
I think I don't mind looking at Mike Scott. I wouldn't want to hear Horford's out as well, and Harris is out as well.
I just don't think these guys play, Mike. I can't see why Philly would risk these older players.
Well, that's the thing. I don't necessarily think that. I think Embiid's going to right out, sit in general. We're going to get the news he's going to sit. It wouldn't shock me if we see, maybe Harris, Horford, Milton, Richardson play the first quarter or the first half, and then they don't join again. So if that's the case, we'd get about, I'd say about 24, 25 minutes out of Mike Scott, which I don't mind. I would just like it a lot more if we knew we were getting like that, that big game that we got out of him a few days ago, because every one of the starters were out, including Al Horford and Tobias Harris. So I don't mind the play. I think I'm going to be looking more towards a guy like Alec Burks. He sat out that last game. They said it was due to soreness, but in reality, it was just to give the guy a break. And he's really stepped up once Ben Simmons got hurt and kind of took on a big scoring role. So I think with a lot of these starters sitting, he's probably, after resting in that last one, looking at least 20 to 25 minutes. And in just 28, 23, and 28 minutes in the past three games, the lowest he has is 14 shot attempts in those games. So the usage will be there. He's pretty much averaging about 32 DK points over the past three games. High-paced matchup. Regardless of going against the Houston starters on the bench, it still should be an up-paced game. So I think I have a little interest in him. And maybe a guy like Thibault as well. I look at those two guys. Mike Scott will play as well. I think, Burke, Scott, Thibault, probably my three top options. We saw Korkmaz come out and play a decent amount of minutes. Not another bad guy to look at, but I'm not going to be going with too many of these starters. And if I had to play one of them, it would probably be Al Horford if Embiid's out, or Tobias Harris. And that's it. I don't think I'll go to Shake Milton right now. He's just been burning me way too much for me to have any sort of faith anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I'm gonna make a note here on your Alec Burks call. I think that's a good one and something I've possibly overlooked here. What about Raul Neto? I think I butchered that name, but he's been playing pretty well, pretty good DK points per minute. Do you think he gets the run?
I like that call. Yeah, and I mentioned him in that last game against Toronto, and we got the game out of him. It's back-to-back 30-point DK games, 27, 25 minutes, and him himself, he has not been shy, 15 and 18 shot attempts in the past two games. So that's a good call. He'd probably see a majority of the time in garbage time. So he's another great option that we have to choose from this Sixers bench team. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Neto's a great call, and I probably prefer Neto over Scott. I think, probably still prefer Burke slightly over him, but it gets really close when you look at a guy like Thibault and Neto, because you got, Neto's volume and his usage, and then Thibault's just ability to rack up defensive stats and kind of, get a couple of rebounds, get a couple of assists, and fill it up in multiple different ways. Doesn't necessarily need to score. So it's two different guys, two different ways that they get it done, but both of them are very much in play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's you could throw a blanket over a number of names here, and I think you may need to work on your lineups and work out where you're paying for higher price guys and slot these guys, because they're all basically different positions in around them, and see what you come up with.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to be paying up for a couple of these studs, knowing that they're not going to play a full complement of minutes. So in that scenario, go for the guys that are the highest point per minute guys, the guys that, like Tobias Harris, who will average more than like 1.1, 1.12 DK points per minute when Embiid's off the floor and when Ben Simmons is off the floor. Those kinds of guys are the ones I'd look to play, just because even in 24 minutes, if they only get you 30 DK points, well, Tobias Harris playing 21 minutes, getting 30 DK points, is probably still better than we might get like for instance Mike Scott, like you said, if he plays 35 minutes, he might get 22 DK points. So we're going to probably be leaving cash on the table no matter what in this kind of slate, and that's okay. So don't be afraid to spend up on certain guys and make sure those guys are A, at least playing, and B, are going to have a solid point per minute, foundation and base, just because you're going to need it without them playing the full complement of minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so crucial, especially in slates like this where it's just everything's junk time and weird and a bit all over the place, to keep your eye on the news. I got burnt today, I don't mind admitting, by, hang on, what time does that San Antonio game start? And I went back to my lineups, and San Antonio have been eliminated, and I've still got DeMar DeRozan in there and Derek White in there. I'm like, well, there goes my day. So all I'm saying is keep an eye on the news, make sure you're up to date with injuries and rests and things like that. Otherwise, you just burn your money.
Absolutely, and there is no worse feeling to just crumpling up your money and throwing it in the air. I've done that once or twice in this bubble already.
I just closed Google Chrome, Mike. I just closed it down, and when I don't need to look at these lineups anymore, I'm done.
That's it, man. And maybe it's a positive. It's good for our listeners because now you have to focus on this slate a little bit more. That get right slate. So
I'm not looking at my phone, not distracted by where I am in the rankings. Yeah, you're right.
Well, now we know, guys. If you want Brenton to be on his A game, we got to root against him the night before. And that's we never root against our own guys. We want to see to take that and say, hey, if I'm not winning this slate, I want one of our listeners to. I stand firmly behind that. I'd love to see our guys take something down. But let's talk about this Houston team, man. James Harden with Westbrook out. We saw him just light the world on fire in limited minutes. And I'm okay with going back to it. Like I said, if we're looking to spend up on guys, point per minute, if James Harden's in this starting lineup, even if it's for 16 minutes, I'd still prefer 16 minutes of James Harden over pretty much 25 to 28 minutes of anybody else on this slate. So I have no problem paying that 11.5 for him if he does in fact play. But why don't you tell me, what do you think about him?
Where else are you going to pay up? That's the question. Like you said, we're looking for these points per minute monsters, and if it's not James Harden, then who is it? So 11.5, that's steep, but you're going to have the money to pay for anybody you want with all this value on the board. And if you're going to target one guy to build a lineup around, it's James Harden.
Yeah, and I think my number 2 option might be a guy like Eric Gordon. He only played one game since the return of the bubble. He had that ankle injury that he was dealing with that has kept him out. So he has not played too often. Knowing that he only played 20 minutes in that last one, he still took 15 shot attempts in only 20 minutes. So they're going to try to get this guy going right before the playoffs start. And this is one of the last games that they have that opportunity. So, I could see him playing about 20 to 25 minutes again, just chucking as much as he can handle. So I think I do not mind taking a look at Eric Gordon. I don't mind playing him and Harden in the same lineup either. I think that's totally feasible. What do you think about Gordon?
Yep, I had the same kind of thoughts. They need to get run into him before the playoffs, and this is their last chance. So at 4,600, I don't see why you wouldn't play him. Yep.
Absolutely. Who else are you looking at over here? Anybody in the front court that we can count on?
Count on? No, but Jeff Green, sure. You could have a go at him here. He's logging minutes at the moment with other guys resting, and 4,900 is not a bad price. He's not scoring a huge amount of DK points. He's been doing okay, but we've got to have some options and some pivots somewhere. So Jeff Green's someone to have a look at. What about you? I mean, Damari Carroll, Austin Rivers, any of these guys?
I don't mind looking at Jeff Green. I just don't like that. I mean, sometimes it was good. He's only center eligible on DraftKings. Don't really get that, considering the guy's played power forward and small forward for the majority of his career. But I guess anybody that's on the Rockets is automatically center eligible, and that's just the way it works. So I don't mind him. I think Damari Carroll is a good option if we know that we haven't seen Covington really rest or sit or take too much off. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting that news that maybe Covington sits, House is back in the lineup. Maybe Tucker gets a day off. And if one of those guys happens to sit, I think Damari Carroll vaults up the board. It becomes an excellent play. So I'm going to keep my eye on him, and he would probably be my third option, barring that news. But it's still just going to be Harden. It's going to be Eric Gordon. And then if I was forced, push comes to shove, obviously I think I'd prefer, same amount of minutes Covington over Jeff Green. But I think Jeff Green right now in this type of scenario, his minutes might even be safer than Covington. So I like that call with Green as well.
Yeah, cool. And to be honest, I'm not really looking anywhere else. It's kind of Harden, Green, maybe some Damari Carroll, and that's about it for me.
I'm with you, brother. And that is our 4-game slate right there. So it went pretty quickly. A lot of news-bearing information still that we kind of have to wait and see on. And we're gonna end up getting late scratches. So listen, the important games, the good ones, the ones with the guaranteed shortened rotations, those ones are right around the corner. So unless you're going to be near your phone, near your computer when lineups are getting ready to lock, be careful. Don't go crazy on this one slate. If you want, that's why we're kind of having this hoop ball contest. If you want to play it and just have some fun, come join us. It'll be a great time. We'll all have fun. We'll be trash talking. I'll be trash talking Santino. It'll be a good time. I'm sure Brent will be beating us both down. But regardless, we'll all be having fun in there, and it's a good way just to kind of get involved and try your hand. Try your hand against some of our pros. See what you can do. Beat us down. Show us where the money is. But we're gonna take off, guys. We're gonna get out of here. We'll be back. We'll be breaking down some of these more play-in games, and then going into the playoffs. And before we take off, you guys can give us a nice rate and review. You can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeartRadio, wherever you're listening. Thumbs up. Happy comments, positive comments. Maybe you got some constructive ones. We're always for it. We just want to get better and work at this. So whatever we can do to kind of produce the best product for you guys is what we're looking to do. So let us know. And then follow us on Twitter. You can find me at Mike Apotria, MikeApotria. Brent, why don't you let the good people know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Terrain72. So that's TERRAIN 72.
Awesome, brother. Well, as always, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, man.
I know that we're going to be doing a lot of these shows, man. And I'm having a great time having you on. I think it's, we get a couple different perspectives on it, and I'm looking to take you down, man. In this contest, it's going. I got guns blazing. I know I got a lot of people gunning for me in this one. So, and then anytime there's a free prize, if I hear anything free, I instantly, I would take a free prize of any amount. It could be a gift card, it could be a T-shirt, over money for some reason. I just like winning prizes. Like I'm that guy that would go to the carnival, drop $50, win like a $3 stuffed animal, and feel like a champion.
Nice, man. Hey, challenge accepted. Let's go. Let's light this up. I'll be smirking when I beat all of you guys down. Let's do it.
All right, brother. I'm looking forward to it. But we'll catch you guys later. Thank you for listening. From everybody here over at Hoop Ball, have a great and wonderful Friday and weekend that's coming up right around the corner as well. Take care, guys.
Playoffs, baby.
Ooh, yeah.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.